This is the beginnings of the Great Garden Experiment 2025. I've never been real successful at growing anything outside, so we're gonna try grow bags this year. We're gonna try bottom watering. So I watch several gardeners on YouTube, and one of my favorite, like more educational ones is Anne of All Trades, and I watched her do a raised bed, and she put a bunch of wood in the bottom of the raised bed because it will absorb a lot of water, and then it will continue to like disperse. It's like a sponge. It soaks it up and then it will release it when things get dry. So I haven't seen any other gardener that does grow bags put some wood in the bottom of them. Well, we're gonna try it because experiments are fun. And we're just gonna treat this all like a big giant science experiment. So we're doing grow bags because we live in a trailer court that's a bit restrictive. So plus we don't want to put a lot of effort into building up a garden bed and then move in a couple of years, because we really want to move far away from here once our youngest has graduated. So we're gonna put a little bit, this says it locks in moisture. So we are gonna put a little bit of this into the bottom of each of these, and then we're going to allow them to absorb like the rain and the snow water over the next few weeks, and then we'll plant the next one.
They already collected pretty well.
I don't have any garden tools, so we're doing all of this by hand. Yeah, you got a lot bigger hands than me.
Not enough, or do you want to? Oh, okay.
I don't want a whole lot because they're not real deep bags.
Right.
These are the 10-gallon grow bags. I just got them off of Amazon. Called it good. But I have to get past the whole not liking my hands to be dirty and things under my fingernails.
Believe me, I can't stand it, but I'm just letting the inner, I guess the inner man in me supposedly just come out and deal with it for the time being.
I just wanted enough to create kind of that sponge effect that Anne of All Trades talks about with her beds. And then I know Iowa well enough to know we're probably gonna get a bunch of rain, and we're probably gonna get maybe one more round of snow before it's all said and done. This is only early March, so we're gonna let nature get these nice and soaked, and then we'll put our mix of potting soil and manure and peat moss or coconut stuff all on top of that, and then we'll plant our plants later. But I've got 5 more grow bags. We're gonna buy 5 more of the bottom things because we're gonna try and bottom water as much as possible. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to fit all 10 across here without being too shady behind this shed. We'll figure it out, and it's all an experiment, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
We have our completed garden. This is tomatoes and onions. This is tomatoes and onions. Both are cherry varieties, I believe. This one I thought was a cherry variety. I don't know for sure. I cannot find any information online, even on the Ferrymore website. I don't know what's up with that. This one we have potatoes and onions. You can see the onions sticking out. Potatoes in here too. And a marigold in the middle to deter some pests, preferably. We have in here, we got 2 cherry tomato plants. We have a few onions back here and a marigold up here. In this one we have a tomato plant. We have cilantro under the mulch there. And we have a marigold. Here again we have a tomato, marigold, and in that seemingly empty space is basil. Those the herbs I'm doing from seed. Here, this is an experiment one. This is 2 of the celebrity, the bigger tomatoes, and 2 marigolds, and that's it in there. Here is the jalapenos, which adorable jalapenos and some little flowers. And here we have the blueberry plant. That's what it looks like so far. Got some lovely flowers there. Up here, over here, very nice. All right, that's what it looks like now. That's our reference. and we'll see what happens as time goes on.
So we're back inside now, because since it's raining outside, I can't plant my herbs that I want to plant in these smaller pots outside. So we're going to do this inside. So what I did was I just shoved everything on my kitchen table, which is where we keep most of our produce. I just put a towel down because I'm going to probably make a mess. This is going to be way easier to clean up. If you lay a towel down, once you're done, gather everything up and kind of shake the dirt outside and have less cleanup. We've got several herbs. Now, if you recall, I have planted some herbs in some of these pots. We started to see some of them are starting to sprout up a little bit, but I would like to, in separate pots, plant some of these herbs. I bought these 2 blue ones. They're just an 8-inch cheap plastic pot from Walmart. They cost me like $2 or $3 a piece. I bought those 2 to pot up the tomato plants that I had growing in the hydroponics that went kind of crazy and get them hardened off for outside. And we lost one of them, but one of them is still thriving and has flowers on it, so that's great. But I got to thinking, like apparently happens frequently when you start gardening, you start thinking about, well, I want more. I want more space. I want to grow more things. It's really exciting to see all this stuff grow and to have fresh things. It's an amazing feeling. So I want more of that. And I'm finding, like with the basil, I got a decent amount of basil, but once I dry it and crumble it up, there's not going to be that much of it. So I want more. So here's what we're going to try and plant today in these pots. We're reusing a couple from the blueberry plant and the jalapeno plant because we're kind of frugal around here. Why not try and reuse them? And then I bought 4 more of the 8-inch pot. Here's what we're going to plant. We're going to plant chives, more basil, because I'm kind of loving having basil, and I do use basil a lot in my pasta sauces. Lemon balm, this one's really good for medicinal uses and general health. Spearmint as well. I'm going to use this, dry it out, and use it for spearmint tea, which I buy all the time. So it'd be nice to kind of have a supply of my own to kind of offset some of the cost. And it cost me $3 for the seeds. We have oregano, which again I use in pasta sauces. I also use oregano in my chili. Some dill because I started doing some fermenting. I did cucumbers and carrots and with some dill, and I really like it. Didn't think I was a huge fan of dill. I actually really like it with the carrots. And obviously pickles, I love pickles. Some cilantro because I want to use that in pico. And then some Italian parsley. I use that in my chili too. The parsley and the jalapenos, most of what I'm going to do with those is put them in the freezer for this winter when I make chili and have my own herbs and vegetables. Remember our little windowsill herb garden? We got some stuff. It is growing. I don't see it getting much bigger than this in this little environment, and I'm terrible about remembering to water these. You can see the chives looks a lot darker than some of the others. I just don't think there's enough nutrition in this little tiny bit of soil to really grow the herbs I want to grow in the size and quantity I want. So we're going to transplant these and then also plant some more seeds. I don't think I'm going to try and transplant the chives because it's not really doing much. It's like one. We're going to transplant some of this. We're going to use these. I've got some little tags. So let's get into it. All right, so we've got this leftover pot. We're going to use the same soil we used outside, the Miracle Grow organic raised bed garden soil. I am going to use my all-purpose plant food that I bought. And then I'm also going to use my mushroom compost thing. I just figure with it being in pots, it's going to be great to have this for the nutrient uptake. Were we doing this outside, I'd probably put a little bit of peat moss in with it. But that's so messy and it gets everywhere that I don't want to bring that in the house. I might have also done a little tiny bit of compost. I just don't want them to get too compacted. But I figure with using a raised bed soil, I believe there is some like perlite in here. I've kind of seen some little bits that could be something to make it so it doesn't compact and cause problems. The soil's kind of dry, but I've got some rainwater saved outside in our little 5-gallon buckets. So I'll just kind of water them in when we get out there. So I'm just going to make this as easy as possible on myself. Kind of dig most of that. I'm just going to use a big spoon. I do have a little teaspoon here. I figure it doesn't need, it's a small space. It doesn't need a ton of these things. but it does need some nutrients. So we're just gonna use a teaspoon of each of these. This stuff smells terrible. And even a teaspoon might be a bit much, but we're trying it. And I learn best by trial and error. I just learn best by doing stuff, seeing what works, and moving on from there. Just a teaspoon of mushroom compost. And we're just gonna stir this up in here with my little spoon. I'm gonna get more dirt here. So glad I put this towel down. I had this idea to put this towel down because I'm going to stir up a little bit just to get some of the nutrition up toward the top here too. Now, I know that one of these seed packets does tell me that I should soak the seeds for like 24 hours ahead of time. I'm not the greatest at thinking that far ahead, so we're just going to go with it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like I said, we're not going to transplant the chives, but I'm going to use the little chive sign. There's the seeds there. Lightly kind of sprinkle these. So that was almost all of them, so we're just going to do all of them. I'm going to keep the seed packet though because it does tell me like the depth. I'm supposed to plant it about 1/4 inch deep, and it'll take 2 or 3 weeks to germinate and then 80 or 90 days to harvest. So all I'm going to do, since they don't need to be very deep because they're very small seeds, I'm just going to take a little bit of dirt, kind of sprinkle it over the top, and then we will water it when we get it outside. So that is one down. Next, we got the thing our blueberries came in. I kind of put the chives in the smallest one because I'm not as concerned. If I don't get any chives, I'll be okay. The rest of these I'm a little more excited about. I'm still just going to use a teaspoon of each. These are such small containers comparatively, and we only needed like a couple tablespoons for the big 10-gallon ones. So for this one, we're going to do basil, and we're going to transplant these little basil plants. Just kind of squeezing it out, separating out the little plants because they're just little baby seedlings right now. That in. That one's a teensy baby. You can see the little root system there. Got quite a bit of dirt on it, but that's okay. We want that. Oh, it's got quite a bit of, there's the root system on it. I'm going to put the ones that are already sprouted on one side, and then I'll put some seeds on the other side. I'm just kind of gently lifting it from there now. I'm just making a little hole with my finger. And I'm burying it kind of deep just to try and get more of like a root system kind of supported and started. All right, this one. There we go. Here. Not sure if this one little teensy one that hasn't really gotten true leaves yet is going to go anywhere. So we'll put that one close to there. And then we'll plant just a few more seeds over on this side. Just trying to kind of even things out a little bit here. Here, you can kind of see in there now that these are really teensy little seeds. Shake a few over. And then I'm going to save the rest. This time I actually saved some. There's quite a few still in there. I'm honestly was afraid to kind of start like tomato plants and pepper plants and stuff from seeds because I don't have space. I don't have a grow light beyond my hydroponic light. Just not real sure about, not sure of myself with that yet. But I'm hoping while we're still in this place, I might be able to figure out a way to start seeds for next year or the year after indoors. Because that tomato plant I started, the hydroponic thing, it's so huge already. And that's really encouraging for starting seeds at home. I just know that in the hydroponic system, it's not the best way to do it because the sponge. So the basil is planted. We're going to pause so Tom can take this outside and then we'll start the next one. We've done the basil, we've done the chives. Now we're going to grab one of these pots here that I just bought. Like I said, these are just a little 8-inch pot that I bought at Walmart. It is made in the USA. Some people care about that. And it is recycled. So at least it's kind of something, you know, it's kind of okay. Tom was kind enough to go and get me my scoop. Add our food. And this food does say feeds up to 4 months. That's going to be close to my entire growing season. We're in zone 5A, if you're wondering, or if you are, you know, looking for somebody who gardens in a similar area to you. Zone 5A in Iowa. And I just kind of filled it up to the little rim. And so just for my initial filling, I just filled it up to there. I'm going to probably do another scoop or two. Next, what do I have here? I have lemon balm. There's our seeds. They're pretty small. Spacing 24 inches. Well, I only have an 8-inch pot, but we'll see how it goes. I know that there are like gardening rules, but I don't necessarily think the gardening rules are the only way to do things. I might cover this one a little bit more because it did say like a 1/2 inch rather than a 1/4 inch. This one I don't have one of these lovely, I actually really do like these little wood ones, but I don't have one of those for this, so. And that one is good to go. All right, so for this one I started without you while Tom was out there just to get things going, but I'm just mixing in the food. We did get a mushroom kit to do. We tried oyster mushrooms before. I know they're like the healthiest mushroom for you, but I haven't found a way to make them into anything in particular yet. The kit I bought is white button mushrooms. Those are the ones I use in like salads and pasta sauce and everything. I love mushrooms, so we're gonna grow those kind too. So that's coming up. We're gonna do spearmint next. Like I said, I love to use this in tea. I drink a spearmint tea frequently, so I would love to have my own. And these are also this is 1/8 of an inch depth. This is like the smallest depth. These are so teeny. But these, I highly recommend growing mint family stuff in some sort of container because it will take over everything. From what I have read and seen on YouTube from other gardeners is it can take over your whole life. So since these are the small depth, I'm only gonna just sprinkle a little tiny bit. But yes, mint stuff very much needs to go in a container unless you want to have a yard full of mint. So this one had some clumps in it, so I'm gonna kind of break those up. The soil is definitely drier than ideal for potting stuff, but like I said, we're gonna pour a bunch of water on it here in a minute. Anyway, we're doing oregano next. If you watch well, I don't know if the pasta sauce video is even posted yet. Sam's in charge of all of that, but I do use oregano and basil. Those are really the only herbs I use in my pasta sauce. So it will be nice to have my own homegrown oregano for that. These are itty bitty baby ones, just like the spearmint ones we just did. So we're just gonna a little. All right, that one's done. So next we're gonna do some dill. Didn't pay that much attention to the fact that I got mammoth dill. So I'm assuming it's gonna be big. Like I said, for the dill, I have started kind of pickling a little bit, but the fermentation type of pickling, which I can always do a video on that at a later date as well. It is kind of fun to do. My family's really enjoyed the products I've made from that, which so far just done cucumbers and carrots. That's what I saw on other people's YouTubes. So that's what I tried first. You gotta see these seeds because this is kind of an interesting looking seed. These you can actually kind of see where I'm putting them. I'm using a lot of seeds, even though I'm gonna have to thin this down to 3. Look at how much I still have left. This is amazing. I spent $1.69 on this packet. So these are you can plant these a little bit deeper because they are a little bit bigger. So we're gonna actually cover the top cover all these seeds with soil. But just the whole idea of having my own herb garden is really exciting to me because like fresh herbs at the store are just so expensive and then they go bad so fast. So I would love to just be able to go outside and snip what I need. Like, that's gonna be so cool. Next, we're gonna do cilantro, and we do have some cilantro plants that look, I mean, this one already looks like it's going to seed. But I am gonna transplant these just to see what happens with them, because I know some of them are kind of, it's not getting enough nutrition in that little bag. That much I can tell you for sure. Also, like I said, that little bit, I suck at watering that because it's not something I think about. But out with the rest of the plants, I'm going to be checking the water levels all the time like I am with those. So I think they're going to do a lot better. I'm just gently pulling because I don't want to hurt them too much. There's the little root system to it. This one, I mean, they're looking kind of anemic, you know. They're looking a little, they're not looking as green as they could. And we're going to kind of plant it deep in hopes that it kind of produces more of a little root system. I know tomatoes will do that. I don't know if all the plants do that. So we'll find out, I guess. Yeah, see, that one's got some, like, yellowed leaves. I'm going to pull off those yellowed leaves. Just so they're not still feeding off trying to get fed, you know. I did read that once the leaves go yellow, they will not come back. They will not go back to green. So, look at that. That's got a lot of roots there. It doesn't look great, but it can have new growth that'll be even better. So we're going to plant this one real deep to clear down in here. I'm really looking forward to cilantro for my pico de gallo. And also I do use that herb in chili also. So I'll use the parsley and the cilantro and the jalapenos all in my chili. And I'm really excited to have some things I grew in one of my winter dishes as well. The chili's really big in my family. Here's another one with, look at all this. They're really like fine hair-like roots, like if you had really thin hair. I'm just kind of fascinated looking at all this because you don't see until you go to transplant a thing. With the leaves that I know are like spent and done, I'm just doing what they call chop and drop, where you just kind of pull it off and drop it in there so it'll decompose, and then it'll have the use of feeding the plants that are thriving, which I wouldn't call any of these thriving yet, but we're working on it. We're going to get there. Spacing 10 inches. Well, these aren't quite going to be 10 inches apart yet, but that appears to be the strongest one. So I'm going to see if I can dig that out. This one has the most, like, oh, look at all that. Look at all that. Oh my goodness. Clear down to here are those roots. I try and snip it off as good as I can. You see the finer leaves? That looks like it's kind of maybe on its way to going to seed already. That makes me a little nervous, but we'll see how it goes. And then this last one's not doing so great in any of them. There's spots on that leaf. They're all yellow. We're not gonna try and salvage this plant. I'm gonna plant just a couple seeds over here just so I can kind of succession sow it. And if I lose all of these because I transplanted them, oh well. The cilantro seeds are a lot bigger, as you can see here. So it's a lot easier to kind of control where they go. Just gonna kind of poke them in. Once I got real strong plants, I can figure out thinning them down to just a few. All right, so cilantro's done, and we're down to our last one, which is parsley. All right, this is the last of the herbs that I'm gonna plant today. Now, I can put the parsley tag in here. And then these I started not too long ago. I believe I started them on camera. They look lovely. They're doing pretty well, despite my horrifying neglect. So we're going to transplant these. We will also seed some and try and have a succession sowing, that whole deal. We got 3 more little plants. You can see they don't have like a whole lot of root system to them yet, but they have a little bit. Really hoping things turn out well so that I can use this stuff in my chili. There's the seeds, the parsley seeds I'm going to use. Gently sprinkle them around the empty soil area. A little sprinkle on top here. And then we'll be done, and then we'll head outside and we'll get these watered in. All right, we're outside and it's sprinkling a little bit, but we grabbed the water that we had saved from the last time it rained, and we're just gonna water in our seedlings now.
I think we're gonna have more than enough water. Plus, it is raining today. Oh. They're gonna get plenty of water here. There you have it. We've got all of our herbs now planted, and we're ready to go fully for this garden season. So here in a little bit, once we get things cleaned up in the kitchen, we'll show you what's going on with the hydroponics. We are back inside. A week and a half has done an awful lot for our hydroponic garden. Look at all this lettuce. We trimmed this down to almost nothing, and look at how much has come back. It's come back so heavy that it's tilting in here, and it's kind of covering up my lemon balm and my spearmint that are indoor. But here's my spearmint plant. Here's my little lemon balm. And then we've got our little covers on the ones we haven't planted anything else in yet. We've only got, 5 going right now? But that's because it's too much. It's too much, actually. So I'm going to leave this lettuce, and then over here we have this big, beautiful lettuce. I'm going to leave these, not cut them off, because they wilt too fast. I like taking the big leaves off right before I eat, and then it's nice and crisp and not wilty at all. But this did come with stakes, and obviously this is falling over, so I'm gonna go get a stake. We're just gonna stick these in alongside the plant. There we go. Now it's standing up straight. Like I said, it is kind of shading out some of my other little herbs, but that's okay. We just planted a whole bunch of herbs, so it'll be all right. And then I'm gonna turn this one around if I can. It is kind of interlacing with my basil. It's kind of hard because of the roots. I'm just sticking it alongside the little sponge in there. You see the plants here. Here's the sponge, and I'm sticking the pole alongside the sun just to give it a little bit more support. But I mean, look at this jungle. Look at my beautiful basil. And sometimes it grows so fast it's hard to catch that it's getting too close to the lights, and I do have a couple brown spots, but it's okay. Look at all this down here too. I got all these little extra basil plants sprouting off. Basil really does go nuts once you have it going. I'm not gonna cut any more off right now, just because I got all these there's tons of little tiny leaves in there. It's so cool. But just moving it around, I'm smelling the delicious basil smell. It's heavenly here right now. But I'm not gonna trim any more of this back yet. I'm gonna wait for some of these newer shoots to kind of grow a little more before I snip off. I love this thing. These 2 plants is almost too much for my family. The way it's producing, it's going nuts. And I'm definitely going to have plenty of basil for making spaghetti sauce this winter. So I'm very excited about that. That was just our little end of the garden tour with our indoor update. Thank you very much for coming along today. And thank you for watching all the way to the end. We appreciate you out there watching us, and spending time with us is going to be what helps our dreams come true, to actually have our own homestead one day. So we want to thank you again, and have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.